Sixers fans, how we feeling out there? Hey y'all, my name is Lauren Gordon. Some of you may already know me on social media as Lauren Fan of the Year. Others may have just stumbled upon this podcast, but either way, I want to first thank all of you for tuning in to Season 2, Episode 9 of my very first podcast. I'm just a Sixers fan, the Lauren Fan of the Year story. Now let's continue the story. Y'all, the time is now March in the year of 2021. It had been a full year since the COVID-19 pandemic shutdown. On March 2nd, I received some good, uplifting news. It was an email from the Sixers organization with the subject line, "We're welcoming back fans." The message read, "Dear Lauren, welcome home. After 12 months, we are finally able to open up our doors to the best fans in the world, and we look forward to having you join us at the center. We are thrilled that Governor Wolf and Mayor Kenney have agreed to allow 15% capacity at the center. We've long believed that our fans give us a true home court advantage, and we couldn't be happier to have you with us as we continue our quest towards bringing home an NBA championship." Y'all, I ain't gonna lie, that was the best news, and it made my day. The following day, on March 3rd, we beat the Utah Jazz 131-123 in overtime. We had 6 Sixers players in double-digit scoring. Tobias had 22 points, Ben had 17, Seth Curry had 14, Shake Milton and Dwight Howard each had 12 points, and y'all, even Furkan Korkmaz had 8 points. But y'all, the real story was Joel Embiid. He had 40 points, and get this, in 40 minutes. And on top of that, y'all, he had 19 rebounds. I was like, damn. I went on Facebook and posted, "That's my MVP." Then the following day, March 4th, was Matisse Thybulle's 24th birthday. And around this time, I was a huge fan of Matisse. Now, he wasn't much on offense, but Thybulle was an incredible defender. You could pretty much count on Tease to get you a steal or two every game. I'm telling you, them young boys, Matisse, Shake, and Tyrese Maxey, they would bring it every single game. Then on March 6th, it was reported that Joel Embiid donated $100,000 to combat homelessness in Philadelphia. And I thought, that's my MVP, y'all. Embiid was doing big things on and off the court. He was a man of the people. Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons were both named as All-Stars for the 2021 NBA All-Star Game. Remember, Doc Rivers was also named as the Eastern Conference coach. On March 7th, both Ben and Joel were ruled out from participating in the All-Star Game due to COVID contact tracing safety protocols. Now, this was the third time, and I believe the final time, that Ben Simmons was named as an NBA All-Star. This was Embiid's 4th time being named as an All-Star, and fast forward to present day, Embiid would be named as an All-Star 7 times so far in his career. I was sad to hear that neither Joel or Ben would be playing in the All-Star game, but at the same time, I just wanted to keep my guys safe. Honestly, with everything going on, I thought the All-Star game should have been canceled that season. There were a lot of people still testing positive for COVID, and there were people experiencing respiratory problems, so I had my concerns. Well, the game went on as scheduled, and Doc Rivers coached Team Durant, even though Kevin Durant didn't participate in the All-Star game that year because of injury. I think it was his hamstring. Quinn Snyder coached Team LeBron with Captain LeBron James, and they ended up beating Doc Rivers' Team Durant. And that year, Giannis Antetokounmpo was named the All-Star Game MVP. Now, it was nice that Ben and Joel were still recognized as All-Stars, and it would have been nice to see my guys play. But at this particular time, everyone's focus was on winning a championship. Y'all, I love my Sixers room. Now, remember, during this time, a lot of the restaurants weren't fully open yet. You know, people were still doing takeout orders only. And when my family would come over, I would just entertain from my Sixers room. And it was great because at this point, my bar was fully stocked. And I had a mini fridge that was full of beer. And it was just a great room to entertain. We would watch the game. I would play music. And y'all, for the record, I make a mean margarita. Now, I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything like that. And I didn't bring it up earlier because it's not really Sixers related. But y'all, aside from me winning Fan of the Year, I also won a margarita making contest for my award-winning margarita recipe. I thought I'd just throw that out there. But y'all, my Sixers room was a whole vibe. There was no need for me to have to go out in public and spend money. I could entertain my family right here without having to ever leave home. I say all that to say I enjoyed spending lots of time in my Sixers room. I was proud of what I created. And I was also grateful for the help that I received to create the room that I always envisioned. My brother Gavin helped me hang my big screen television. My daughter Corey helped me build the bar and the bar stools. It was definitely a labor of love. As I mentioned before, on the back wall of the room, I had an Allen Iverson fathead, the life-size decal of AI wearing the iconic black Sixers jersey, and it looked great in the room. I wanted to add 2 more fatheads, one of Ben Simmons and the other of Joel Embiid, but I had no other walls to display their huge images. Well, I brought them anyway, and I decided to put them in the hallway that led to the Sixers room. This turned out well because now I could extend my photos and memorabilia out into the hallway. And I had a bunch of different Sixers pennants and flags, and I hung them over the staircase. So as you came up the steps, the Sixers flags hung overhead. Well, one day my daughter Corey came over and we walked up the steps to the 3rd floor and she began cracking the hell up. She was like, "Nuh-uh, Mom, this is too much. You done went from the Sixers room out into the hallway. What's next? The entire house? This is how it starts." I laughed as I admired my work, looking up at the Sixers pennants and banners that hung overhead. And I said, "Yes, you are now in the concourse leading to the Sixers room. Shoot, if I ripped up these steps and added an escalator, you would think you were at the Wells Fargo Center." She noticed the hallway light fixture, which looked like a movie marquee, now had vinyl letters on it that read, Section 120. I told her I was paying homage to my section at the Wells Fargo Center. Shout out to Section 120. Remember, on my 3rd floor, I had my office and art studio. But over time, my 3rd floor would be dedicated to my Sixers memorabilia. Y'all, I am so proud of my Sixers room. Everything is neatly displayed with memories I've collected over the years. When people visit, they always say it looks like a museum. The crazy thing is, I know exactly where everything is. And if I was to give a tour of my Sixers room, it would probably take, no lie, y'all, like 2 to 3 hours just to show everything and tell the story behind each item. On March 12th, I posted on Facebook, "You can just see the maturity and confidence growing in Matisse," referring to Matisse Thybulle. "This kid is special." Y'all, I was a Matisse Thybulle fan. The following day, March 13th, we played the Washington Wizards. My MVP, Joel Embiid, scored 23 points but left the game halfway through the third quarter with a leg injury. We still won the game 127-101. Shout out to Shake and Korkmaz, who each scored 18 points off the bench. Then, y'all, there was an ESPN report that came out from Ramona Shelburne that read, "Philadelphia Sixers star Joel Embiid's MRI showed no structural damage to his left knee, just a bone bruise. ACL and meniscus are fine. No timeline yet on a return." Then Adrian Wojnarowski tweeted, "Sixers sources expect Embiid could miss 2 weeks with bruise, which is described as deep." Thank God. It didn't seem as if it was anything too serious. He's having an MVP season, and now he's going to be down for a while. It could be up to 2 weeks. Honestly, y'all, my heart went out to the big guy, and I was feeling kind of down for him. But at the same time, I couldn't help but be excited for the following day. Us fans were allowed back at the arena at 15% capacity, of course, but nonetheless, I was going to be there. I posted on Facebook, "Oh my God, in 24 hours, I will be in the arena." Follow my story tomorrow as I video blog before, during, and after the game. I'm so excited. That next morning on March 14th, I woke up early. I made videos and posts of me preparing my return to the Wells Fargo Center to see my guys play live basketball again. It had been a year-long shutdown, and I was definitely feeling withdrawal. My social media family and friends followed my videos on my Facebook stories. My daughters, Corey, Kendall, and Kendall's friend, Joe, went with me to the game. Y'all, just pulling up to the parking lot felt amazing. And I was able to perfectly time parking the car to the exact time that the doors opened to the Wells Fargo Center for season ticket holders. The arena allowed only 15% capacity. Everyone was still required to wear masks to keep the spread of the virus at bay, and we were still required to show our vaccination cards or religious exemption cards, and there were plenty of news media there to get fan reaction of everyone returning to Wells Fargo Center and Sixers basketball after being away for an entire year. A reporter from NBC 10 stopped to speak to us, and y'all, I could not hold back my excitement. Corey and Kendall said it felt like Christmas morning. It honestly did. It felt incredible to be back in the building. I felt like I returned to my second home. March 16th is Joel Embiid's birthday. I'll never forget. That morning, I went on social media and saw that I was tagged in a post by multiple people. I went to that post and saw a candid photo of Corey, Kendall's friend Joe, and me from the game from the day before. And y'all, honestly, I don't even remember taking this photo, but somehow this photo appeared on a post made by A2D Radio that included another photo of Ben Simmons. So it's the two photos next to each other. And then there was a quote made by Ben Simmons that read, "The energy is completely different when they're there," referring to us fans. I think it was a great experience for everybody who hasn't played in Philly that's on the Philly team now to really understand that. Even if it was just 3,000 fans, You can really feel them and feel the energy. Y'all, after reading that quote, I had to agree with Ben. And I couldn't have felt more proud as a Sixers fan. Because y'all, I was one of the 3,000 fans that attended that game. And let me tell you, we were so loud and so excited to be back at the Wells Fargo Center cheering on our guys that we sounded as if it was a sold out game. We were really loud for it to be only 3,000 fans. And keep in mind, we were all wearing masks. We were so into that game, and we were just happy to have Sixers basketball return. And we ended up beating the Spurs 134-99. That A2D radio post, y'all, would go viral and would grab the attention of all of my Facebook family and friends. It felt amazing to have a photo of me and my family associated with the quote from Ben Simmons about how amazing the Sixers fans are. It was great to be a part of that. Remember I told y'all in season 1 about my friend in high school, Chuck? Remember I told y'all Chuck was the biggest Knicks fan I had ever known? And over the years, we had an ongoing Sixers-Knicks rivalry that we passed down to our daughters. Well, now as adults, Chuck and I both lived our own lives. But you better believe, whenever the Sixers played the Knicks, we would always trash talk on each other's Facebook timeline leading up to the game. From the very beginning, when Chuck and I found each other on Facebook, y'all, we picked up right where we left off from back in high school. We still had loyalty to our team. We still thought the other team was trash. And we would place these bets whenever the Sixers and Knicks played each other, where the loser would have to wear the other team's t-shirt, take a photo, and use that photo as their profile picture on social media for an entire week. Y'all, wouldn't you know that every time I made that bet with Chuck, my Sixers would lose, and I would have to post a picture of Kendall and me wearing Knicks shirts and have that as my profile picture for an entire week? I'd always add captions like, ew, and I can feel my skin crawling while wearing this shirt. But y'all, it was all in fun. My Facebook friends would laugh and tease me and join in the fun, and they would ask me why I would always take that bet. Honestly, y'all, it's because I could never bet against my Sixers, and not taking that bet meant that I didn't have faith in my team to win, and I couldn't give Chuck that satisfaction. Well, those days were in the past. Times had changed. Now, when we played the Knicks, I'd offer that same bet to Chuck. If my Sixers win, you and your daughter have to wear Sixers t-shirts, and you have to post that picture as your profile picture for a week. Y'all, that daggone Chuck had a nerve to say, nah, that's okay. I don't bet anymore. Ha! That's when I knew that he knew that I knew that he knew that my Philadelphia 76ers was better than his sorry ass New York Knicks. I had been waiting my entire life for him to finally admit that. It gave me a sweet sense of victory. Yes! Y'all, I'll never forget. March 16th was Chuck's birthday, and we played the New York Knicks. We won 99-96. Remember, Embiid was still out, right? Well, y'all, Tobias had 30 points, Seth Curry had 20, and Ben had 16 points. My guys, woo! I immediately went to Chuck's Facebook page and posted, they say that the team who wants it more typically wins the game. I'm sorry your team let you down again, especially on your birthday. Go Sixers. He quickly replied, go ahead and kick me when I'm down. Ha! That made me so happy. Y'all might be like, Lauren, Oh my God, that's so mean. But y'all don't understand how bad Chuck tormented me when my Sixers weren't good. But now the tides had turned. And it was now time for Chuck and all the other Sixers haters out there to show us some damn respect. The following night on St. Patrick's Day, and my daughter's birthday actually, we had to play the Milwaukee Bucks on a back-to-back game. We ended up losing 109-105 in overtime. We had 7 players in double-digit scoring. Tobias had 19 points. Danny Green had 18 points. Ben had 13 points. And by the way, he played great defense against Giannis, but then Ben got into foul trouble, and then Giannis went off, which is why the Bucks ended up winning. But Ben still had a really good game. Dwight Howard had 13 points. Seth Curry had 10 points, but then he sprained his ankle in the fourth quarter and he left the game, didn't return. And I believe off the bench, Shake Milton had 15 points, and I think Korkmaz had 11 points off the bench. So the effort was there, and it was nice balanced scoring. So even though we lost, I told y'all, I will always applaud effort. So I posted on Facebook, hell of a game, losing 2 starters on a back-to-back game, referring to Embiid and Curry. We just came up short. It happens. I do not fear the deer. They ain't beating us in no series. Y'all, at the time, I honestly believe that. The Milwaukee Bucks slogan was fear the deer. Well, y'all, I wasn't afraid of the Milwaukee Bucks. I felt like teams may beat us in a game, but there was no team, not even the Milwaukee Bucks, who I feared in a 7-game series. I also want to note that on the following day, March 18th, it was reported that former Sixer center Shawn Bradley was paralyzed after being struck by vehicle while riding bike near Utah home. Damn, that's sad. Jeez. The trade deadline was on March 25th. The day before, March 24th, I posted, I know we still need another piece, but I like this team and I don't want to give up anybody. #trade deadline. During this time, I really liked our roster and the way that it was constructed. And I knew we needed to add another piece, but at what cost? Like, I didn't want to give up anyone because I liked all of the guys. On the eve of the trade deadline, I was nervous about the move that Daryl Morey would make. Would it be a small move? Would it be a big move? But whatever decision he made, he just had to get it right. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And be sure to tune in next weekend as we continue the story.